Hello everyone, and welcome back to this EC Aquatics video. So about a month ago, I set up two tanks here in my room, and I'm just going to be giving you guys an update on them and doing some maintenance on them in today's video. So this is my Peace Lily aquarium, little Peace Lily fish bowl. It's a 4-gallon fish bowl that has some peace lilies up here and has a trio of endler guppies and a whole bunch of shrimp in here. There's one of the shrimp and the endlers. And as you can see, it's doing pretty well. Not that much algae. There's a little bit of algae on the glass, but that'll be an easy fix. Some snails, but the plants are not really covered in algae. All the plants are doing pretty well. Some nice Monte Carlo down there. The stems are growing nicely back there. So this doesn't really need that much maintenance. I'm just going to give this a quick water change. A lot of Monte Carlo has floated up, so I'm going to replant that. But other than that, really, this will be very simple. Just a quick little water change, clean the glass, and I'm going to give the peace lily up here a trim. Some of the old leaves need to cut off, but that'll be very easy to do. So I'm just going to jump right into it with a quick time lapse of me cleaning this tank. Alrighty, now I've gotten the water change done, and I also added in, obviously I added in dechlorinator, and I also added in some liquid fertilizer to help the plants out because the peace lilies aren't doing that great, and I think that's because there's not enough bioload for them to really feed on. So I tossed in some leaf zone, and that should help them out a lot. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replant some of the Monte Carlo that floated up. And I'm also going to do a little bit of a trim up on Rotala indica and the peace lily that's there just to make this tank look just 100%. Alrighty, so the first thing that I'm going to do right now is, as you can see here, there's a bunch of Monte Carlo that has kind of floated up. So I'm going to try and take these little clumps of Monte Carlo and replant them so that they're no longer floating. Pull them all out right now. And I'm going to try and make like these little clumps of Monte Carlo that I'm then gonna come in and just stick into the sand so that hopefully they hold and at least some of them take root. And the issue is just I've got to just pick them off the Rotala so that I don't plant the Rotala right in the foreground and have that grow and completely take over. So just like a big clump like this that I'll then take and just kind of, there, looks good. Toss in just like that. Alrighty, now that that's all taken care of, the next step is I am going to trim off some of the old peace lily leaves, and this will actually help the peace lily in the long run because it's right now trying to both divert energy and nutrients to both growing new leaves and keeping these old leaves alive. And if I trim down a lot of the old leaves that are not doing too well, it will be able to focus more energy on producing new, better leaves. And I'm going to be using these just aquarium scissors to get in there and just snip away at the old leaves. I try and keep the healthiest leaves around and just get rid of the ones that are not doing too great. And what I noticed is that this back one has kind of popped off of its little secure area, and that's I think why it's not doing too well, is because it's way too far in the water. So if I wedge it kind of right in there, hopefully that will allow it to do better and bounce back. I cut off a bunch of the old kind of dying leaves, so that should really help our peace lilies really grow a lot better. And as you all can see, the root system that has really grown in. It was not there at all when I planted these peace lilies in, but now it has grown in, which is great to see that this, at least this front piece of the leaf, which is really wedged in nicely, is doing well. You can see the couple of new leaves that are growing, and this is the one that's doing a lot better. I had to trim a lot off of this back one back here. As you can see, that one was just floating in the water. I've kind of wedged it to make it do better, but this front one's doing really, really well. So now that this tank's all done and taken care of, as you can see, it's doing well. This really didn't need that much work. We're going to move over to the other tank that I set up, which is this little 3-gallon kind of like Asian river aquarium that I set up. As you can see, a lot more algae in this thing, which, yeah, not the greatest, but I'm going to really try and get in there and clear out a lot of this algae. A lot of the moss has become kind of overgrown with algae, and the wood's covered in algae, which I'm going to need to get rid of. But the fish are still doing great. I still got a couple of those chili rasboras in here. But I am going to try and also pick up some shrimp for this tank as well, because it needs it, because the shrimp will really take care of the algae on the moss. So I'm going to try and find some this weekend and add them in, and that will be an upcoming video if I can find them, which I hope that I can. But in the meantime, let's get in, and I'm going to start just going to town on all this algae in here. And same method that I used in the other tank, I'm just getting in here with a toothbrush and just scrubbing. On the glass, you can also use like a dedicated algae scraper, but I don't have that here with me right now. So we're using the next best thing, which is a toothbrush. And this algae is great that it's just diatom algae, so it's coming right off. I mean, there's no, I really don't need an algae scraper for this. It's just flying right off, which is great. There's some algae that just will not come off without the use of like a razor blade, but this is not that algae. And this algae is just normal for new tanks. The diatom algae is. So it's great that that's the algae that I've got in this tank, and not some kind of like blackbeard algae or a ton of hair algae or anything like that. It's just a whole bunch of diatom algae, and that you just resolve through water changes. Crypts are doing really nice as well in here. And the moss actually isn't too covered in algae. That's great to see. But what I'm doing with this moss is I'm getting in there with the toothbrush and just kind of flicking, so I don't rip the moss up off of the wood, but I'm kind of hooking the little strings of algae and kind of kicking them up. Yeah, this tank actually, once I got the algae off the glass, this actually looks better than I thought it was going to look. I thought I was going to have my work cut out for me, and I'd really have to fight to try and save this moss, but it actually looks pretty good, and it's just, seems like it's all just diatom algae, which is great to see. There's a little bit more of it on this Java fern in here, but that's fine. That's easy to clean off. Yeah, so that's actually a lot better than I thought. So what I'm going to do now is get in there and just drain this thing pretty much all the way down to get as much water and as much algae out of it as I can. Alrighty, now that looks so much better now. I was really worried that it would just be completely overgrown with algae, but it's not, so that looks great. I'm going to give this thing another water change tomorrow just to really clear it out, but that looks, I mean, so much better. There's barely tell that there's, that this was so covered in algae. And the fact that it's all diatom algae is great, because as this tank kind of matures and really settles in, once it's done cycling, these diatom algae will go away, because once the plants start pulling nutrients and once the beneficial bacteria really establishes. So yeah, that's great that this algae is not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And as you all can see, just see just how much the crypts have kind of grown in. They were not nearly as big as they are a month ago. They're doing really, really well. They're really enjoying all the nutrients in the soil. The Java fern's doing well, and obviously the moss is doing well. Unfortunately, the stems are not. So I'm going to probably replace them. I'll take some trimmings from another tank and toss them in. But other than that, this tank looks so much better now. Now it just needs more life. And hopefully I'll be able to pick up shrimp and maybe some more. Maybe I'll find some chili raspberries somewhere to add in as well, because it needs more. It definitely needs more animal life, which I will hopefully provide it very, very soon. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this little update on these two tanks. They weren't, they were still going through. They're still going through their cycling phases. One had its diatom phase worse than the other, but both of them are doing well. Both of them are doing normal things for new tanks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little video, and if you did, then be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you all in the next one.